All right, good evening, Concord Township. I'm calling to order the public hearing for 7:25 p.m. Tax budget for year 2023. Mrs. Dawson, do you care to fill us in on
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci.
information? Thank you.
Yes, we are required by law annually to hold a public hearing regarding our tax budget for the next year. So this evening I'd like to talk a few minutes about the 2023 Concord Township tax budget. And this is required by state statute. We need to have a public hearing here. Once you decide, once the public hearing is closed, and you decide in favor of that, then the next step is to have a public hearing with the Lake County Auditor, and that happens every August. And again, they hold a public hearing as well on the same information, and then at that point it's approved and sent to the state. Now, what's important to note is that the tax budget only is about the inside and outside millage, and those are the funds that the voters vote on. So out of our 20 funds, the only ones in question are the general fund, the road and bridge fund, and those are both inside millage. And then the fire levy, the road levy, the safety services levy, and the bond levy. Those are considered outside millage. So for instance, on the general fund, I'm estimating, so what happens is that we have to prepare a worksheet for the auditor that says, these are our actual numbers for 2020, these are our actual numbers for 2021, the current year estimate is this, and then this is what I estimate the budget is for 2023 in these funds only. So for instance, the total, I'm going to talk about the general fund, the total revenues in 2020 were 1.6 million. In 2021, they were 1.6 million. The current year estimate is 1.7 million, and I'm estimating in 2023 that it's going to be 1.8 million. But the expenditures, the actual expenditures in the general fund for 2020 is 1.6 million, 21 again 1.6 million. Current year estimate is 1.9 million, and then 2023 I'm estimating 1.7 million. So this happens with the general fund, the bond retirement fund, the road and bridge fund, the fire levy fund, the road levy, safety services levy, and then we need to do a schedule of indebtedness. So we have the fire station's construction bond outstanding. The interest rate is 1.86%. The amount of the bond at the beginning of year 2023 is going to be 7.4 million, and we're estimating that we're going to be required to pay $450,000. So it's a good look ahead. I think that's the best way that you can describe it. And I did forget to tell you that we did make proper notice for this meeting, and I do apologize for that. So, do you have any questions?
No. Any comments or questions? No. Anybody in the audience have any comments or questions? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing.
Thank you.
And we're going to move right into our Board of Trustee meeting. 7:29, or we've got 20 seconds?
We have 20 seconds.
All right.
So, yes.
Are you ready to keep going?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, we will keep going. All right, if you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mrs. Dawson, roll call, please.
Mr. Dondorfer.
Present.
Mr. McIntosh.
Present.
Mrs. Lucci.
Present. Moving to the approval of minutes.
Oh. Go ahead.
Madam Chairman, I move to approve the meeting minutes from May 18th, 2022 special meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the May 18th, 2022 regular trustees meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to the elected official reports, our fiscal officer, Mrs. Dawson.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci. As of May 31st, we were 42% of the way through the calendar year. Treasury balance for the 20 active funds within the township treasury was $15.8 million. The treasury balance does include $10.5 million in funds set aside for specific projects, fire stations, and more. Year-to-date expenditures were 22% of the amount appropriated, and revenue is at 49% received for 2022. We are well within budget at this time. I'd also like to congratulate Cindy Sadler on graduating from Leadership Lake County tonight, and I want everybody to know I'm very proud of her for going through that. So, if you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to call our office, 440-354-7516. That is all I have this evening.
Thank you very much. And trustees, Mr. Dondorfer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, I'd like to thank everybody that came out on Memorial Day for our ceremony at the cemetery. It was a very solemn ceremony. It was great to see a large presence out there recognizing those that served our country to protect our liberties and freedoms and paid the ultimate sacrifice. It was a great ceremony. I'd like to remind everybody about our concert series for the summer concert series. Starts next week, right, Deborah? The June 9th. Mm-hmm. Join us out here at Town Hall to kick off the summer. Usually very great events throughout the summer. It's great to see the progress on the fire station. It's moving along. It's great to see that happening. I haven't had any calls this week from any residents. Other than that, that's it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. Mr. McIntosh?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Had a few complaints. I noticed some emails came in about some zoning issues, and there was some concern about some erosion. I know that our service department and service director, Mr. Brown, took care of that, so I want to thank him for taking care of that. I know and then our administrator, I believe you had some dialogue with that as well, and took care of it, made one of our residents very happy. Memorial Day was great. It was nice weather, a little bit on the warm side, but we had a really nice ceremony. It was great to see people out. Really starting to enjoy that one. And last week I did have the benefit as a JED board member to attend ICSC, and that's the big retailers conference out in Las Vegas. We were planning to go to that in 2020 and hadn't been, so I'd missed it for 2 years, and the township hasn't been represented out there since 2019. And that is where just a lot of the retail and the development, so the economic development things that the JED is responsible for in the Auburn Crowell District. Also got to spend some time with the folks from Painesville and looking at some of their economic development projects. They're looking at some redevelopment on the Painesville Square, and so that was just really educational. I got some interesting information, and just got to see who's interested in coming to our community, and just also hung out with the Mentor folks, got to see what they're looking at. So it was really, from an economic development standpoint, and planning for the township was really worth a lot of time, and I enjoyed that. So I'm looking forward to the summer concert series and celebrating the bicentennial this year at Community Day, which is back live in person, 2 days. So that should be a lot of fun, and that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you both. So I did speak with a few residents myself regarding some zoning complaints or violations, which our zoning department was already sort of taking care of. I want to thank the Garden Club for starting their work on our front area there. Got a little water today, but they're doing a nice job, and I smelled the mulch when I walked in, so thank you to them. Congratulations to Cindy for her leadership Lake County. I also want to thank Karen Warner for doing an excellent job with the Memorial Day ceremony. I thought it was beautiful. I thought the taps was like very, very chilling. So thank you to her and to everyone who helped on that. And then I also would like to congratulate all the graduates, all the high school, college graduates. Wish everybody the best of luck and a nice, safe, happy summer. And with that, we will move on. We will start our department reports. Our administration department, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci, members of the board, Mrs. Dawson, distinguished law director, members of the audience, good evening. I just want to start with one quick item on the agenda, which is item I. That is, I put a request for an executive session. That's for the purpose of discussing some pending litigation. That is pursuant to Ohio Revised Code section 121.22G3. And that is at the very end of the agenda. So I would request that we do that at the end of the meeting. I too would like to thank everyone who joined us and participated in the annual Memorial Day service. It's personal to me and it's very touching, and I'm always thankful to be able to stand there and pay honor. And a hat goes off to the cemetery sexton and assistant cemetery sextons, because they do a great job putting this together and doing it right. I also would like to thank the Garden Club. Last week was flower planting day, and if you look around Town Hall and the other township buildings, everything just looks beautiful. So I can't thank them enough for their dedication and their efforts to keep us shining bright. Congrats to Cindy Sadler for graduating Leadership Lake County. And the biggest thing I'd like to talk about, I want to take a minute or two, I want to talk about fireworks. Late last year, as I know the trustees are aware, but for the audience, the Ohio law regarding fireworks changed. I believe it was last November of 21. New rules go into effect on July 1st of this year. They've allowed for a lot more holidays in which fireworks are permitted. The new law allows Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day, in addition to extending 4th of July to the 3rd, 4th, 5th. I think Juneteenth is in there, and there's one or two other special days throughout the year where fireworks are allowed. So the new rules, and the biggest telling thing, the new rules allow for, quite frankly, large amounts of fireworks to be stored and sold in local retail establishments. I know that's a concern of the Fire Prevention Bureau, but the new law gives local governments the ability to opt out of the new law and make rules that are more restrictive. Currently, here in Concord Township, Lake County, we do not permit the discharge of fireworks, obviously with the exception of professional companies for sanctioned events, such as at the end of our community days. I believe Quail Hollow Country Club puts on a sanctioned event that's put on by a professional company that works with the fire department to do those things. I had a lot of discussions with the fire department leadership, and I appreciate them because they kind of took the lead on this. And I believe the best course of action is to opt out of the new law and leave things the way they are, which is to prohibit the discharge of amateur fireworks, for lack of a better term, within the township. I know that the fire chief and fire leadership is also in favor of opting out. We've worked with the law director, primarily deputy chiefs, and there's a resolution that's been drafted by legal, and I'm hoping to get that placed on the agenda for our next meeting on June 15th for trustees' consideration and hopefully a favorable vote. But I wanted you to be aware of the upcoming proposal. We have received a few calls, and the few calls that I've received have asked for fireworks to remain prohibited in the township. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I know Chief, the Deputy Chief's Fire Prevention are also available should the trustees have any questions regarding this, but I expect this and hope it'll be on the next meeting's agenda so that we can get it passed before the new law goes into effect. And then the last thing I have, Rick, if you could bring up our meeting picture. For those of you that don't remember, every meeting during our bicentennial year, I'm plucking a historical photo out. So our featured bicentennial picture for this meeting is a photo of some of the service department crew from 1951 working on the bridge deck along State Route 608. With orange cone and orange barrel season upon us, I thought this was an appropriate picture to put up. The service department, as always, and they currently do a terrific job of maintaining our roads and our grounds and our parks. So I just want to put a shout out to the service department and put up a picture from 1951 of them working on the roads. And then also to tie into that as a general reminder, when the crews are out, so if you see cones, you see the brightly colored reflective vest, please slow down, please move over as best you can and be patient because we're making the roads and the ditches better for the residents. And that concludes my report. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Moving on to Fire Department, our Deputy Chief Terry Acko.
Wow. Final report from total runs for May, 261. Total runs for 2022, 1,144. EMS, there's 176 events with 135 transports. Non-EMS events was 85. Fires, we had 10 events, 3 car fires, 2 structure fires, 2 open burns, 1 grass fire. We responded to 2 structure fires outside of Concord Township. Mutual aid we gave 25 times, mutual aid received was 14. Overlapping calls was 84, so that's 32.18%. So overlapping calls, more than one call going on at one time. So we're gonna forego the fire prevention report tonight because I'm gonna do a little report for you, a glimpse of 40 years. I was going to talk about myself, but you don't have time for 40 years, and that's a little bit self-centered. I've learned that from you over in the corner. So what this is going to be a glimpse of 40 years of Concord Township leadership and the fire department, just a little bit of me. In 1982, our fire department was volunteer part-time with a full-time fire chief. We staffed Fire Station 1 with 1 or 2 firefighters with other firefighters. Some of them were paramedics that responded from home for fire emergency calls. Fire Station 2 was staffed when it could be. It was not a guarantee. Staffing Station 2 came so much later. We responded to about 450 incidents, an ISO rating of 7.9. Population is just over 10,335 residents with about 3,341 housing units. We had limited business, Coyle Hollow Hotel, Resurca, 84 Lumber, Concord Plaza, a couple other small mom and pop shops. My fire department ID number was 020. The board of trustees at that time was Leo Scully, Mary DeBate, Charlie Call. The township clerk at that time was Georgia Dyer, and our fire chief was Robert Welk. Let's fast forward to current date. Population, 19,254. An increase of 8,919 or 86%. Housing units, 8,033, increase 4,692 or 140%. Business occupancies, we're now approaching about 145 businesses throughout Concord Township. 2,829 incidents in 2021. That's an increase of about 550%. Full-time fire chief, deputy fire chief, administrative assistant, fire inspector, 18 full-time firefighter medics, 30 part-time firefighter medics, part-time fire inspector, 24/7 coverage at both fire stations to provide fire, medical emergency, technical rescue, public education, fire prevention, and so much more to meet the demands of our residents. An ISO rating of 3.3Y. So remember, 1 is the best, 10 is nothing. So look at where we've come in 40 years, and that all goes back to a savings to the residents. My current firefighter ID number is 301. That's 281 firefighters that have gone through the doors since I arrived in 1982. I personally responded to approximately 10,300 incidents since 1982. Fire chiefs that I worked for, Robert Welk, Richard Terriaco, so that's a little side note of that. That's 59 years of community service combined between 2 of us, both retired as chief officers, so we both can say we've been part of Concord Township and the community. And then Mike Warner, and then now Matt Sable. Talk about the other department areas. Administrators, during my time, there's about 8 administrators. There's a lot of them, right? But the one that stood out the most was Russ Sagely. He did so much for the growth and public relations to Concord Township that he served both as administrator and zoning director. He was the best. Clerks, back then. Now we've moved to fiscal officers. Georgia Dyer, Justine Anderson, Peggy Cusick, Amy Dawson. Peggy was the role model. She was the best. She had a great intern. And now we have her. Zoning, Tina Morano, that's who was here when I started. Linda Legg, Kathy Mitchell, Bruce Bullard, and now Heather Friedman. One thing that we started with Bruce Bullard was better relationship between the fire department and zoning to help the growth of the community. Because as businesses come in, or the residential developments came in, we started working together to provide a better relationship with those people coming in and a better development in businesses. And Heather Freeman still carries that on, and she'll carry that on with Mike Bedell, the new deputy fire chief. Recreation, it was just summer camp, ran out of town hall. We moved to community days and so much more. So now the recreation department is in their own building, staffed by Deb Esker, Susie Cobb, Tracy Butler, Rachel M, to provide top-notch service for our residents. Trustees, Leo Scully, Mary DeBate, Charlie Call, like I said, many in between. Some boards were good, some boards were better, but the best sits right here in front of me, Mr. McIntosh, Mrs. Lucci, and Mr. Dondorfer. Last but not least, our legal counsel. You knew I was working my way to you. So Wiles and Richards, the legendary John Wiles was in your spot for how many years? Since the early 70s, right? Wiles and Richards have been here.
I believe he started in 1965.
1965. And I end with you, the best. I think we both started right out of high school because we've been here so long. So we had John Wiles, Mike Lucas, Pat Nacero, who worked quite a bit with Chief Terriaco, and Stephanie Landgraf. So thank you. That is my report for the meeting. Any questions?
I think that's the best report I've ever heard. And so I think before we move on, I advise that we move to item C.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-13, recognizing the retirement of Ronald Terriaco, Deputy Fire Chief.
And I will second that.
Mr. Rose, would you read the resolution, please?
I would be honored to read this resolution. Thank you, Madam Chair. Recognizing the retirement of Ronald Terriaco, Deputy Fire Chief, Resolution 2022, TAC 13. Whereas Ronald Terriaco, Deputy Fire Chief for Concord Township, having tendered his retirement effective the 16th day of June 2022, and whereas Deputy Chief Terriaco first joined Concord Fire Department on the 22nd day of June 1982 as a firefighter and served with distinction for these past 40 years until he presented his retirement. And whereas Deputy Chief Terriaco assumed his position as Deputy Chief on the 16th day of August 2009 after serving as a firefighter, lieutenant, and captain. And whereas Deputy Chief Terriaco successfully guided the Concord Fire Department through periods of significant growth by preparing young firefighters to grow into leadership positions, planning facility upgrades, and advising township officials in training and fire prevention strategies. And whereas Deputy Chief Terriaco holds certifications as a fire instructor, fire safety inspector, fire investigator, incident safety officer, Fire Officer 1 and 2 instructor, and training officer. Deputy Chief earned his associate's degree in fire science from Lakeland Community College and is a Class 3 graduate of the Ohio Fire Chiefs Association's Ohio Fire Executive Program. Deputy Chief Terriaco has served on the Lake County Fire Chiefs Association as Vice President and President, and was a member of the Lake County Fire Chiefs, was a member of the Northeast Ohio Fire Prevention Association, Northeast Ohio Fire Chiefs Association, Lake County East End Fire Investigation Unit, and as a fire coordinator for the Lake County Emergency Management Agency. On the state level, Deputy Chief Terriaco was an active member of the Ohio Fire Chiefs Association and holds their designation of Chief Officer. Deputy Chief Terriaco is an Ohio Fire Chiefs Fellows Program member and sits on the oral interview panel for the Ohio Fire Chiefs Assessment Center. Deputy Chief Terriaco represented the Ohio Fire Chiefs in the Ohio Attorney General's Office Safe School Task Force for School Safety Planning and was a local board member of the United States Selective Service System Region 1. Deputy Chief Terriaco is an Ohio advocate for the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation Everyone Goes Home program and has served as the Ohio lead advocate and the Region 5 lead advocate before becoming the chairperson for the Line of Duty Death Response Team. Deputy Chief Terriaco had also served as chairman of the Ohio Local Assistance State Team, which is a collaborative effort between the Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. And whereas Deputy Chief Terriaco fulfilled his responsibilities as Deputy Chief, and through his diligence and concern for Concord Township residents and staff, ensured the fire department was well-trained to respond to a myriad of emergencies in order to keep residents safe. Now therefore be it resolved by the Concord Township Board of Trustees, Lake County, Ohio, that we wish to extend our best wishes to Deputy Chief Ronald Terriaco as he ventures into retirement. He will be fondly remembered by the boards he served, the township staff, and by these words within this resolution through the history of the township for his dutiful and exemplary service to his community and its residents. Now it's time for a vote, Madam Chair.
Any comments before the vote?
I'll start off. I mean, there's a lot I could say about Ron. But in summary, he's done a lot for Concord Township. His leadership, his dedication and commitment have been second to none. I'm sure everyone would agree with me that he was instrumental in building the Concord Township Fire Department. Fortunately for me, I've had the ability to work with him 30 years in public service, and it's been an honor. He's always been a stand-up guy, professionally and personally. And what I admire about him most is he always had the knack to sort of marry up and build relationships between the law enforcement and the fire side. It's not an easy task, but Ron could master that better than anybody I knew. And it was a pleasure to work with him in my years at the Sheriff's Department. So you will be missed.
I didn't have an opportunity to work with the Deputy Chief all that long. I was a trustee just a couple years, but I had the pleasure of meeting you at a fire when a certain former trustee took me to a house that had blown up and introduced me as one of the zoning guys and said I was our deputy chief. And it's been an honor to work with you. I've had a lot of passing experience with you, and we've always been a calm and steady word of advice and just a real professional. And I wish I'd gotten to be a trustee with you longer than just the last 2.5 years, but we'll miss you.
Yes, I agree. Ron, I haven't known you all that long. Your reputation precedes you. But in the little time I did know you, you are a top-notch. Your leadership, your community liaison, your partnerships in the state and the county. You're going to be a tough act to follow. We're going to miss you dearly, but we are so excited for you, for your next chapter, you and your lovely wife. Best wishes. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One last add.
Yes.
This resolution is 22-13, which is also seems to coincide with the fire department number for the township. I find that. I don't know if anyone planned that, but wow.
Wow. Good catch there.
Amazing how that happened.
Right.
You know how hard it was to get them to withhold the last one?
Congratulations.
Yes, congrats. Okay. We will move on to service. Mr. Tim Brown.
It's a tough act to follow.
Yes, it is.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Concord Township's joint road resurfacing projects are coming to a completion. Stonewick Drive, Nature View Court, Bryan Drive, and David Drive are completed. The paving company will be performing punch list work in the coming week. The chip and seal surface course is scheduled to begin for the week of June, in the second week of June, on Breezewood, Conley, Clear Lake, and Ridgewater. Once the chip and seal is applied, it will need 5 to 7 days to cure, and then street sweeping will take place to clean up the loose stone in the roadway, and then apply the fog seal. And that after the fog seal is applied, another 10 to 20 days for a good cure. The service department crews began the road maintenance operations. Crews will be out crack sealing all our asphalt roadways, Durapatch repairs to asphalt roads, and concrete slab replacement throughout the township. We ask residents for their patience when encountering these work zones, as some delays may be possible. The service department yard waste drop-off closes on June 6th at 2:30 p.m. and will reopen Tuesday, September 6th and run through November 28th. The service department, the Lake County engineer has been made aware of the erosion and roadway issue at the bridge on Nancy Ann Drive. They have installed a steel plate in the roadway to make the area safe and are in the process of scheduling the repair. The service department reminds residents with questions, concerns to contact us at 440-350-3225 or by email at concordtwp.com under service department. And on behalf of the service department and myself, I'd like to congratulate Deputy Chief Ariaco on your retirement. I also had the pleasure of working with him on the fire department for a few years, and one of the best. So congratulations.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brown. Moving on to zoning, Ms. Heather Freeman.
Good evening. So zoning permit activity has increased for the month of May as staff processed 59 zoning permit applications this past month. Just want to thank our residents and their contractors for following the regulations for getting their zoning approval prior to starting your construction projects. Our office also received 15 complaints this past month regarding potential zoning violations and nuisances. The most frequent residential zoning complaints that we typically get involve high grass and noxious weeds, storage of junk and debris in people's yards, junk motor vehicles, commercial and recreational vehicles, and some of the lack of basic maintenance on people's homes or garages and sheds. Complaints about these potential residential violations or nuisances can many times be easily resolved without zoning violation notices. So what can you do to be a good neighbor? Help maintain the integrity of your neighborhood by keeping some of these following things in mind. Park your vehicles on driveways and parking areas that are improved with gravel, asphalt, concrete. Don't park any commercial motor vehicles in excess of 10,000 pounds on your property, or more than 2 commercial motor vehicles or trailers that are used on a regular basis by the resident or the resident's occupation. Only 1 boat, camper, or recreational vehicle is allowed to be stored outdoors on a lot that's less than 1 acre in size. Said recreational vehicles should be parked on an improved surface at the minimum building setback line and screened from adjacent properties. Also, do not park wrecked, dismantled, or apparently inoperable vehicles that are more than 3 model years or older on your property for more than 30 days unless you're storing it within an enclosed building. Maintain the exterior walls, windows, doors, roofs, gutters, and downspouts of your homes and garages. Keep the exterior property clean of any junk and debris, and respect your neighbors by not placing your trash and other garbage and other debris at your curb for pickup too early. Show your neighbors courtesy 24 hours a day concerning noise, and mow your grass on a weekly basis. So thanks for being a good neighbor from the Concord Township Zoning Department. I'd also like to thank Deputy Fire Chief Ron Kiriakou for all your work that you've done with the zoning department over the years. We're greatly going to miss you and look forward to working with Deputy Chief Fidel. Congratulations, Ron. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Moving on to recreation, Mrs. Esker.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
It is hard to believe, but we are heading into the halfway point of our bicentennial year and into a summer of beloved traditions where neighbors and friends gather to celebrate and enjoy our beautiful township together. And I'm super excited to share all the details about our summer events, but first I'd like to share a little bit more about our history, as I do every month bicentennial year. Thank you, Rick, for the PowerPoint. As we head into summer, there we go. We enter the season of large-scale outdoor events designed to bring friends and neighbors together in celebration. So this month's Bicentennial Snapshot in History honors the development of a particularly well-loved township tradition, which is Concord Community Days. In 1971, Concord families gathered at Town Hall for the first Concord Community Day. It was planned and implemented by a small group of volunteer residents, and it was a simple country celebration that included family lawn games, hot dog roast, but the main attraction was the fire department's fire hose battle. In 1975, Community Day included a dedication ceremony for the new addition to Town Hall and the very first Community Day parade, and it rained torrentially that year. Nothing was holding back those enthusiastic marchers. They still proceeded from Quail Hollow to Town Hall. Pictured here is our Concord Township trustees from 1976, Clifford Webster, Charles Call, and Joseph Franco on the old platform that they used for parade judges. A beloved tradition of Community Day is the frog jump contest, which has been hopping for over 40 years. Members of the Bob Penny family have been hosting the frog jump contest since the 90s. They catch local frogs for the event. They take very good care of the frogs. No frogs are harmed in the making of Community Day, and they release them back into the wild with happy little memories. But community days have evolved over time. Now, instead of a group of volunteer residents, the Recreation Department is responsible for planning and implementing the event. And now we include live music, food trucks, and adult beverages have been added to the mix. And the celebration continues. Our 2022 Bicentennial Community Days are going to be spectacular this year, with an upscale Uncorked on August 5th and an activity-packed Bicentennial Family Day on August 6th. A special Amped Up Uncorked kicks off our Bicentennial Community Days this year on Friday evening, August 5th. The Thirsty Philly will provide signature Concord cocktails, beer, and wine as guests peruse our Bicentennial raffle. The Rock Radio Band will play hits and dance favorites, and local food trucks will provide a nice variety of dinner options. This fun and relaxing evening is for adults only, but the next day is all about the kids. Saturday, August 6th is our Bicentennial Family Day. The day begins with the traditional 5K run and the fire department's pancake breakfast in the morning. The evening activities kick off with a special Bicentennial flag raising at 4 p.m., followed by a packed schedule of activities at the Town Hall campus and the Old Stone School. Guests can grab dinner and a beer at Town Hall, browse the Bicentennial raffle, enjoy a wide variety of games and activities at Kids World, participate in the frog jump contest, and experience a Bubble Palooza. Then take the Romick Railway over to the Old Stone School to watch history come alive with pioneer life demonstrations and old-fashioned kids games. The band Pieces of 8 kicks off at 5 p.m., and we celebrate Concord Township's bicentennial birthday at 7 p.m. with a party. And then Abbey Rodeo takes the stage at 8 with a break at 9 for the raffle drawing. And this wonderful two-day celebration comes to a traditional close with a traditional bang with a spectacular fireworks display around 10 p.m. Everyone is welcome to attend this special event, and let's all celebrate Concord Township's 200th birthday together. And about 1 week from tonight, actually 1 week from tomorrow night, is our first summer concert series. So throw your lawn chairs in the trunk and get ready for Thursday evenings under the stars at the gazebo. The Swingin' Primetime Big Band kicks off our series on June 9th. The Geese Cats perform our favorite doo-wops and other 50s tunes on June 16th. The British Invasion is happening on June 23rd with Blue Evolution. Pieces of 8 plays classic rock with horns and brass on June 30th. The Headlands Beach Experience plays 70s and 80s favorites on July 7th, and the Breakfast Club performs for the first time in Concord on July 14th. The Saints take the stage on July 21st with Americana Rock, and our series comes to a strong finish with the local favorite band Risk Factor on July 28th. We'll have food trucks there, we'll have craft vendors there, and this year we'll have bicentennial raffle baskets that will raffle off at each band break, at each concert. The Bicentennial Summer Concert Series was made possible by the generosity of our sponsors, and I'd like to mention them now. Barrington Homes, Civil and Engineering Consultants, Inc., Concord Collision, Denora Tech, First Federal Lakewood Bank Concord Branch, New Connecticut Chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, NOPEC, Normandy Village, Stephanie Parker, a Keller Williams Realtor, Vista Spring Quail Highlands, and William D. Nelson DDS. Check out the Recreation Department's leisure class offerings in June. This month we offer Baton for Kids and a bunch of dance classes for kids, including Move and Groove, Biddy Ballet, and yes, it is as adorable as it sounds, preschool ballet, hip hop and cheer. We'll also offer a new basketball camp at the Concord Hills Park, martial arts, gentle morning yoga, yoga Pilates fusion, Tai Chi, make and take summer soaps, talking to the world with amateur radio, and a smart investing class. Space is available in most classes, so sign up online at concordtwp.com or just contact the Recreation Department for personal assistance. And our next senior social is Wednesday, June 8th, with a presentation on the warning signs of Alzheimer's disease. And then on June 15th, we'll host a Father's Day cookout at the Concord Community Center, and bingo is back on June 27th, complete with prizes and treats. All senior socials are on Wednesday afternoons and begin at 1 p.m., and they're free and open to the public, and new friends are always welcome. And of course, there are still plenty of opportunities for businesses and individuals to sponsor a bicentennial event or program. In return for their donations, we'll thank them in the fall edition of the Grapevine newsletter, our eGrapevine email news blast, our website, and social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So just contact the Recreation Department for assistance if you'd want to sponsor a bicentennial event. And I'd like to add my congratulations and best wishes to a man with a great big heart, Deputy Chief Ron Cariaco. So last week, Ron, in the most Ron possible way, he brought the Recreation Department staff lunch as a thank you to us. And this man, who has served Concord so valiantly all of his adult life, is thanking other people as he retires. And I think that speaks volumes about who he is. As we were talking over lunch, I kept thinking that people like him are so rare in this world. And we were beyond lucky that he chose us. He made us better leaders. He made Concord a better place. And it's getting hot in here. This doesn't even begin to express our collective gratitude, but thank you for your service, and we love you. And finally, there is so much to celebrate. Happy retirement to Deputy Chief Ron Cariaco. We will miss you dearly. Happy June birthday to Fiscal Officer Amy Dawson. Happy 200th birthday, Concord. Happy Father's Day to all the dads and the men who bring us laughter and light into our lives. And who needs superheroes when we have all of these awesome role models? So thank you so much for your time tonight, and congratulations, Deputy Chief.
Thank you very much, Deb. Okay, Concord Law, Sergeant.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the month of May of 2022, the Sheriff's Office responded to 1,264 calls for service, 7 property damage accidents. We arrested an adult male for disorderly conduct, a female for disorderly conduct, and another female for domestic violence and disrupting public service. 63 alarms, 6 citations, 54 warnings. We had, on your sheets that I emailed, it shows 2 burglaries, one on Gabriel's Way and one on Girdle. But I looked into those. Those weren't actually burglaries. They just got the they did not get reclassified. So they came in as burglaries, but determined to be not one and the same. Only 2 ATV complaints, because I know we've had issues with that before, but we're doing good there. 14 disturbances, 62 suspicious vehicles and persons, and 14 welfare checks, just to name a few. This past month, we had an issue on Allegheny off of Mountain Park in the 84 area, where a male was at a party, had a discrepancy with somebody, went back to his house, got a rifle, came back, his mom drove him back, and he shot it up in the air. Deputy McCurkin investigated that. He did a great job doing interviews, working behind the scenes with other parties that were involved in the family. Was able to obtain a search warrant, recovered the ammunition and the firearm. The male was violated on his probation because he was already on probation from past circumstance, and there are additional charges pending. So Deputy McKirkin did a good job of that. No other issues of great concern that are worth bringing up here. Deputy Chief Terriaco did submit a fireworks permit for June 16th, but we're denying it because he didn't bring us lunch. So, but no, congratulations on your retirement. You've always worked really well with the Sheriff's Office and all the law enforcement, all the activities, and all the incidents that we've had to respond to and work with. So, and you were one of my teachers back in 240 when I was like 18. So now I'm an old man. So. But thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Sergeant.
Thank you.
So next is the audience portion. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak? If so, please come on up. Seeing that no one would like to speak, I would like to, since there's all this talk of fireworks, just kind of understand maybe from your viewpoint, what are some of the implications that you think are important to
Sure.
consider?
You know, I had some lengthy discussion with Chief Sabo and Deputy Chief Terriaco when the new law came out and how we were going to handle that. I've also had significant discussion with Lake County Chiefs of Police as far as their government entities regarding the fireworks changes. And primarily, I think the biggest concerns were obviously when you have more days that are allowed fireworks and things of that nature, there's more occurrences of safety concerns and issues happening. So that's the biggest issue was, you know, the safety concerns, as well as, you know, disturbances in neighborhoods and things of that nature. There's added disturbances when there's more fireworks going off throughout the year. When we had discussion at the chiefs of police meeting, the majority of the chiefs decided to recommend to their government entities to opt out, which is what they're doing as far as opting out of the law and not opting in, and just keeping it as it is as far as, you know, the 4th of July. Basically for the reasons I stated, you know, there's, you know, several instances, you know, nationally and in Ohio every year where safety is a concern when people are discharging fireworks, and the propensity for, you know, injury or serious injury is much greater. So we don't want to see that. And then you have the issue as far as, you know, retail outlets within communities being able to store those fireworks and how are they stored, and you know, there's a concern for that. So most entities have opted out. You know, I've recommended to my government entity where I serve in a law enforcement capacity to opt out, and you know, I based on the recommendation of Deputy Chief and Chief, I think it's in the best interest of Concord to opt out also.
Yeah, I think we had a good conversation about this on Friday, and when Chief talked about, you know, the ability to sell in the store, that was kind of a pushing point. But you know, we get these phone calls every holiday, every summer. You know, people are shooting, call the sheriff, get them over. You know, and as we know, we talk about law enforcement patrolling the community. You know, we have our deputies, but it's a holiday, it's weekends, a lot of times there's things going on. The last thing, you know, they really have, and I think, you know, adding to that, you know, it's just going to make it more, adding to the frequency of it. I mean, I suspect people are going to think that, oh, geez, I'm wondering how many people are going to realize the local municipality has to adopt it and just think, hey, the state did this thing. So I think we're in for a bit of a, potentially, you know, there's going to be some looser activity with it, and I don't see making it any worse, I suppose. Hate to have to put rules in place, but you know, I think I agree with Carl. Safety is important, and yeah, I think I agree with the administrator's recommendation.
Yeah, you know, we get a lot of calls on the 4th of July when it seems like that's the one day you should be allowed to enjoy fireworks. I think, you know, we're still going to have commercial fireworks where it's done safely, it's done in a manner that be a little, you know, more approving of. And of course, everyone worries about their dogs and the noise and so, but it'll be interesting to kind of see, but it does sound like most of the communities are opting out for the safety reasons,
Yes.
the storage reasons, and all that, so. Okay, well, more to come.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank
move
you.
on to old business. And speaking of old, just kidding.
Wow.
We would like to, since you've been around for a while, present your resolution. Would you guys like to come up or would you?
Come on up. That's you. Deb, can you get a picture? Thank you. While you're taking a picture, I do think it was very fitting that Deputy Chief Terriaco's final report was done at the lectern. That was
Good.
Any discussion?
No, you're good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-12 to approve the tax budget for 2023.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think, I think Amy did a good job presenting everything to it. And I know we had a thorough review and she does a great job with her book, so.
Amy does an excellent job with
Yes.
the finances.
We're
Thank
very
you.
fortunate.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam
Get on
Chair,
to D.
I vote to approve conditional offer full-time employment effective July 3rd to Corey Baker pending completion of new hire paperwork.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just the last in our commitment recently to put on an additional full-time career firefighter for Concord Township. I mean, like we talked about, in the other interviews that we did with the first three candidaats. I mean, there's another great addition to Concord Township Fire Department. We couldn't be happier to have you here with us, and we look forward to you serving here.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've been able to retain a number of great candidates. We've got 4 guys, and I feel really good about the move for the fire department, adding this complement of full-time firefighters, but really shoring up the safety here in the township. So it's very excited to approve this.
Yeah, we were very proud. You did a great job. Thank you for your service, and we look forward to your continued growth within Concord. All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to approve the probationary part-time firefighter paramedic Robert Forster to regular part-time firefighter paramedic effective June 5th, 2022.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Chair, I move to approve fire department PO to Countryside Truck Service in the amount of $50,000.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye. Madam Chair, I will make a motion to reappoint Ashley Gerkart to the Zoning Commissioner, alternate member effective June 4th, 2022 through June 3rd, 2024.
And I'll second.
Any discussion?
I'll just say this as a former zoning commission member, alternates are important. It's a great experience so they can get to be full-time members at some point. And I know Ashley's done a great job pinch hitting for us and filling in when needed. So I think it should be a great committee to keep her.
Yeah, I would agree with Mr. McIntosh. Ashley, I think, has been a great addition to the Zoning Commission. She does a great job, and we're lucky to have her.
Yes, Ashley is very committed. She just became a mom and she wants to continue serving, so we are happy to have her. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then future meetings and announcements. Mrs. Dawson.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci. On June 7th at 7 p.m., be a zoning commission meeting here at Town Hall. June 8th at 7 p.m., Board of Zoning Appeals here at Town Hall. On the 15th of June, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., trustee office hours will be held in our conference room. And 7:30 p.m., trustee meeting here at Town Hall.
Madam Chair, I would now make a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of discussion pending litigation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G3.
I'll second.
Mrs. Dawson, roll call, please.
Mr. McIntosh,
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer,
Yes.
Mrs. Lucci.
Yes. Okay, so we are moving to executive session.
I would recommend we move to the conference room so folks can chat with Deputy Chief and.
That's what we
There
will
will be
do.
no business conducted after executive session, so.
Thanks, everyone.
Sounds like you get to have a good night.
Yes.
Yeah, I have one on standby. I meant to do that before.
Lenny, bring it.